Hi, my name is Alex, and today's podcast is Living History with Alex. And today I'm interviewing Mr. Joe Colburn, a retired Air Force. And today we're going to ask him a few questions, and we're going to see what we can learn about his history. So, why did you join the military?
I joined the military back in 1983 because college wasn't really in my stars. So coming from a military family, I went and joined up.
So, what was your job during that time?
At that time, I was a weapons instructor. They're called combat arms. We worked at the firing range and we qualified people how to use weapons, rifles, pistols, machine guns, grenade launchers, and things like that.
How did the Cold War shape your service?
Well, the Cold War was on in full when I was in active duty. I got stationed in Germany in the mid-'80s. I was over there for most all the '80s. And when Gorbachev took down the wall, they sent us all home because we weren't needed. So that was a little bit disheartening because I really loved Europe. It was a really cool place to be stationed and to live. So then they sent us back home.
So, what do you remember about the end of the Cold War?
Coming back to the States, getting stationed in Miami and Homestead Air Force Base, finishing out my active duty, having to deal with Hurricane Andrew. I lost my house in Hurricane Andrew, and then becoming a civilian with a 8-year gap, and then getting back into the Air Force Reserves down at Homestead with a different job.
So, why did you leave in 1992?
They were trimming down the forces, and they had this program where they paid you to get out based on number of years of service that you had and your rank. And I took that money. It was like a severance. And then I started in the private sector. I owned a restaurant for several years. And then right toward the end of my owning a restaurant, I decided to get back into the Air Force Reserves.
So, what brought you back to the military?
I had owned a Subway franchise for 7 years, and I had decided I didn't want to do that anymore. I saw an ad in the paper saying that the Air Force Reserves will take you back. Prior service, didn't matter what branch you were in. I called the recruiter within 15 minutes. She said, yep, I could get back in with the same rank, a different job, and I jumped on it, and I became electronics countermeasures there with the ECM pods there on Homestead.
Wow. So, what was different the second time around?
The second time around, I didn't have a regular job, so I volunteered to drive aerospace ground equipment, which is called AGE, to be a dispatcher until I was going to go to tech school in Mississippi. And I did that literally for a year, right during 9/11. And then in 2002, I went to Mississippi for my tech school. And then when I came back, I worked at the base, catching up on my OJT, and then 9/11 happened, and then I transformed into Homeland Security, working for TSA at the airport in Miami.
And what was your experience with 9/11?
I was actually working down at the base that day, and I went into one of the shops in the break room, and they told me what happened, and then we, at the time, didn't realize how big it was, and then we had to go into a higher security threat level, and we had to move all the vehicles from the building, only one point of entry. We all had to wear our IDs, and it was a pretty big event.
So, what was so I know you were deployed into Iraq. What was your role in Iraq?
In Iraq, I was deployed with the avionics back shop. We worked in a hardened aircraft shelter. They called it a HAZ. And that's where they parked the planes. And on the sides of the building, they had little workshops in the bays. And that's where they set up the equipment, and we would troubleshoot the electronics for the fighters and for the other aircraft. And we would swap out modules once they were repaired. And that was interesting.
Wow. So, what was life like during that deployment?
It was different. You had to get used to what they call white noise. That means equipment running all the time, aircraft taking off, explosions, and after a while, your body kind of tunes it out so you don't really hear it anymore. We worked 6 days a week, 1 day off, but we really couldn't go off the base to do anything. So you found yourself going to the rec center. I played the little mini golf thing they had there. We'd go to the gym. It was just a routine. And the guys I work with are a great bunch of guys.
So what challenges did you face there?
Well, when you're getting mortared and missiled all the time, you don't hear them coming in. It's not like the movies where you hear the whistle and then it's no, all of a sudden some stuff just goes off and you don't know when or where you're going to get hit if you get hit. So, that was always in the back of your mind. And then driving out toward the perimeter, you'd look out and see, and you don't know who's watching you, who's aiming guns at you. You have no idea. So that was a little bit unnerving.
So, do any moments stand out of your time in Iraq?
Probably the holidays. I was there for Christmas and New Year's, 05 and 06. And one thing is the chow hall, the dining facility, had a great spread for Christmas. And I'd always heard, even from my uncles that served during the holidays, the mess hall would always be 100%, and I was impressed. They had all the stuff you would have here at home to eat, so we ate well.
So, how did the military evolve over the years?
From when I went in, it's more automation now. A lot of button pushing. Mind you, I've been retired from the Air Force since 2011. That was 14 years ago. So. There's a lot of new technology out there that doesn't require a lot of hands-on maintenance because they send it back to the manufacturer and things like that. That has to do with contracting and things like that.
So, what values stayed the same?
Probably my work ethic, my sense of camaraderie. I work at the airport with a lot of people, and I can tell right away somebody I'm working with is prior military because we share that bond that you know how you can talk to them, how you can kid around with them. It's just that's part of being in the military. It stays with you for the rest of your life, in my opinion. So,
how did your service shape your life after the military, though?
Well, I maintain the same work ethic. I show up to work at the airport. I work at the airport now, and I hardly call out sick. And sometimes I go to work when I'm sick when I probably shouldn't. But I try to maintain discipline where I work. I'm a supervisor there, so that's a challenge in itself. But basically, it's how I get up in the morning and how I go through my day.
So, what advice would you give to a person like me?
Learn all you can. Experience what you can. There are going to be bumps in the road, through life. That's just life. Learn from your mistakes. Figure out what you love to do, and then try to make a living at it. And then you'll love your job.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. That's it for today on Living History with Alex. Stay tuned next time for more videos.